Alright, this time the Quick Speed Shop, back working on 40 Mercury. Finally, after like a month and a half of not working on it, working on an electrical system, mounting up a battery box, getting the battery mounted, hooking up a power disconnect switch, and doing a bunch of other things here to get the electric system tied in on the 40 Mercury, starting right now. I'm a professional, don't try this at home. Bam, I can't believe I'm back at it. We're working on the 40 Mercury. Here we go. What I want to do today is get the battery box mounted. So I've been in here mocking it up. I actually mocked it up a while ago. But I've got some kind of steel like firewall bolt-on battery box. I can't remember where it came from. I've had it laying around, but it's got two brackets up here to bolt onto the firewall. And I'm making a bracket to bolt the bottom of it to the frame here. This is an old piece of steel that I had that's been bent. It came from a jumping jack stomper. And it's going to bolt two bolts in the bottom of the frame to come over here, and I'm going to weld it to the bottom of this battery box. And then the two arms up here are going to bolt into the body, and they should hold the battery nice and tight. The battery will sit up here. There's a clamp to hold it down in the tray. Then the cables will come off and run around somehow over to the starter and the ground on the engine. So I've got this already laid in here, mocked up. I've marked two holes. I'm going to take this off now. Where is it? See if it'll come off here without falling. Ta-da! Alright, you can see the two arms here. They're going to bolt right to the body. So I can take this and there we go. I've marked my two holes. I'll drill these in the bottom of the frame rail, and then I'll bolt through a couple of 3/8 bolts. Yeah, the paint's all knocked off the bottom of this. How'd that happen? I'll have to clean that up. Oh, looks like... Oh, what happened there? But anyways, it's going to bolt on the bottom of here, and then I'll weld that bracket on, and then we'll put a couple of bolts into the body I can reach through and bolt through here, and maybe a nut cert up at the top, and that'll give a nice secure spot to put the battery. Be nice and easy to get to. Maybe I'll just turn the wheel, set the battery right up in here. Nice out-of-the-way spot for it. Let's see if this works. Drill it. Hold on. Drill it. Oh yeah. Give her the high gear. Bam! Look at that. Perfect. What in the world? Now, there we go, perfect. Probably gonna have to tack this in the in place here. It goes right there. Where's my clamp? I forgot it. Darn it. There. Oh. I'm going to clamp this in place, and then we'll tack it with the welder. All right. There we go. Looks good. This should be nice and strong. I drilled the one bracket up here. If you can see up here in the dark, I drilled through the body up there for that upper bracket. So that'd be good. I'll just go ahead and take this over the table, weld her up right quick, and then we should be ready to see. Oh, should be good to go here. All right, bam, this worked out great. I've got my up here my 2 bolts up into the body. Let me set this down. It's super beefy. It's not going to go anywhere, so that'll definitely support the battery, no problem. I think I'll let the battery panel, battery cables come down, and I'll notch out the corner of this aluminum inner fender piece and have them whoop, right up over the frame. There's going to be a battery cutoff switch on the firewall. I'll mount to that, then go down to the starter. This needs to get a screw in here to hold it up tight to the frame there, and then that'll look good. But this will be super beefy, good enough to hold the battery in. It's I just got to get the plastic mount that screws into here that clamps on the edge of the battery, but that'll be nice and good and mounted in there tight. So that's a good deal, and it balances out the weight of the car. You know, driver sits on the driver's side and the weight of the battery on the passenger side. Kind of like to keep it evened out, so that's good. I also touched up the paint on the frame while I was at it with some rattle can action, so I cleaned up that a little bit. But I'll take this out and get it cleaned up and paint it black and start doing some battery cables and go from there. Okay, now with the battery box mounted under the frame there, on the side of the frame, I want to put in a battery cutoff switch. I always like to have these on all my cars so you can kill the power right from the battery to the car in case there's ever an electrical problem. You can have an easy way to shut off. You find these on the back of drag cars. They're usually mounted on the back, and they got a red on and off switch or a pull switch that operates them. I like to hide them on the cars somewhere where it's easy to get to. It's just like an extra anti-theft device too. If somebody goes to try to hotwire it and there's no battery voltage and they don't take the time to look for it, it's an extra step of prevention. So in this car, I want to put it where I can get to it from inside the car, but it's also going to be a handy spot. And I've identified an area right here on the firewall. The switch is going to be on the inside, and I'll just reach over and shut it off every time I get out of the car. But it's I bought this one at a swap meet for 15 bucks used. New, they're like 30 bucks or something like that new. But I'm going to I've already marked on the inside. It's going to mount right about here. It's got Bakelite plastic, or it's got a Bakelite type plastic on the back that's insulated. But the switch will be mounted here on the firewall. The battery cable, positive cable, come up from the battery, and it'll go to the one terminal. Then it'll go down from the other terminal down to the starter, and that'll be the positive side of the battery. So it's going to mount right here, parallel to the block for the AC and the heater. So I'm going to go ahead and drill through, and drilled out to whatever this is. Looks like 3/4 inch diameter, and drilled out, and mount this to the firewall. Then we can start running the battery cables and stuff and see how that's going to play out here. Okay, so I got the switch mounted here on the firewall, and I'll show you put the battery in. I've run the battery cable for the positive side to the battery top post, and I was in the process of running the other cable, and I was going to show you that in a second, but disaster struck. Hold on. Look at this. Here is the other cable, and it's a red wire. I put some plastic loom on it, so just because it goes around the frame and stuff like that. But the problem is, it had a little like half-size nut which stripped out on the stud, so I was threading a nylock nut on there to hold everything together. And the threads, because it got stripped, it left like a burr, and it bound up. And I thought I could tighten through it. Well, I broke the solenoid right off there. Bam, look at that. Snapped her right off. So now I either got to get a new solenoid for the starter, or just probably be just as cheap and easy just to change the starter out. So now I've got a fiasco here. I wanted to try to start this thing like next video, and now I've got to buy a starter, so that really sucks. And I wasn't really happy with that. But let me show you down here, I'll show you the battery. So I set my battery up in here. I've got the positive cable. I used a hose clamp or a line clamp there. So the positive cable will come over here and go kirk on the battery like that. And then the negative cable I've wrapped in plastic loom. I'm going to put another piece of loom on the positive cable and get some red electrical tape and tape it red so I can still tell it's the positive. This one is the negative over here on the other side of the battery. So that'll go, it'll hook up like that. But the battery sits in good. I just got to put the tie down on it. I've got to take the bracket back off and clean it up and paint it black. But the battery will sit in here perfect. I just got to cock the wheel just a little bit to be able to get the battery in there. That's not a big deal. It works. If I hadn't snapped that solenoid off, this would have been the other end of the cable going up there to the switch. But now I'm stuck. I also trimmed the inner fender well here, put some edging on it so I could have a spot for the cables to come through and not rub on anything there. So that's why I've got this cable mounted. So what a fiasco. That really puts me down in the water there. I'm going to have to go ahead and pull the starter out now and order another one. And it's a nice chrome one too. I guess I'm going to have to just put a regular starter in the stupid thing. But sometimes that happens. You try to do something and it breaks stuff. So whatever. Alright, hold on. Crisis averted here. I was able to remove the starter solenoid from the starter. I've never taken one apart before, but simple, pretty easy. There's two screws up top here. And then the starter solenoid is, I got a piece that's clocked, so you just rotate it out, boop, pull it on out of there, and there's a little screw down here that goes in to make the connection for the windings of the electric motor. So you can see if I pull this off, it's got the spring and the solenoid pulls in and out like this to engage the starter like that. So that's how it works. This chrome starter is probably over $100 if you replace it here, and I can get a starter solenoid, this part, just for about 20 bucks. So I'll go get one tomorrow and I'll put it on here. Hopefully it'll be compatible. I don't see why it shouldn't be. And fix this guy up and put it back in here, and then we'll be rocking and rolling again with the starter action. So I'll put this back together and put the wires back on it and hook that all up, and then the wiring will be done. I'm going to take the battery tray out tonight and paint her up so I can put it back in, get the battery mounted up. And then the next video I'll be running the fuel lines and maybe bleeding the brakes. I'm not sure. I probably need to get my buddy Jackman over here to help me do that. We'll bleed them and then be able to set the car down. But at least next video I think we'll be able to start it. So bam, I feel better about this now. I'll fix this and then we'll be on to the next one. So now I'm less defeated for an outro, but next time we'll be doing all that stuff. So come on back for the 40 Mercury project right here at the Quick Speed Shop.